Coming up on City Spotlight, we're talking all things Arcola. We'll talk Arcola Schools with Superintendent of Arcola Schools, Dr. Tom Mulligan. We'll talk about sustainability with the digital learning platform in Arcola Schools. Plus, we'll talk about the new CEO program in Douglas County. And we'll end the show with a feature on the Raggedy Ann and Andy doll and the history it has in Arcola. That's all next on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. And thank you to all of you for joining us for another edition of City Spotlight. We're talking Arcola today, and we're going to start the program talking about Arcola Schools. To help us out, we welcome back Dr. Tom Mulligan, Superintendent of Arcola Schools. Welcome back, Tom.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Another school year. Look forward to talking to you about many different things with Arcola Schools. And
great.
One thing you touched upon last time you were on was the digital learning platform in Arcola, and it's in year 3.
Right.
And let's talk about how it's impacted the teachers and students, because that's the major.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we're in year 3 already, and we've kind of hit. We've really seen some awesome changes from communication standpoint, how teachers can communicate with students, how students can collaborate with other students, they can be in different locations collaborating on the same project. So it's really made a lot of changes there. It's really impacted a lot of what I call student outcomes. So in other words, what are students doing to demonstrate their learning? It's really opened up so many opportunities for that perspective, and it's allowed for a lot of differentiation. And I think that's been one of the most powerful changes. Is kids can really get individualized attention from their teacher because of the technology. So, and it's not just the technology itself. Because that's a big, there are a lot of things. For example, we've got a program called eSpark, and eSpark is in our elementary school, K-6. And students take an assessment in reading and math it's called NWA MAP. It's a very commonly used assessment system across the nation. And then the program designs a sequence of engaging apps for these kids to take at their level. So right there you've got differentiation. But what's really cool is one of the most powerful teaching methods is guided practice, where a teacher is working with a small group of kids. So the hard part about that is getting kids, when the teacher's working with a small group, what are the other kids doing, right? So coming up with independent practice activities that are engaging. Well, now kids can do eSpark, it's engaging, they love it. Now it frees up time for teachers to work one-on-one with kids on what they need. So it's really changed differentiation.
So you have some results that have kind of told you how it's impacted?
Yeah, we've seen some awesome results. We've seen growth on our MAP scores. We've seen growth on our PARCC scores, although PARCC's only a couple years. So we've really seen some academic growth. And then we have some incredible results from, we do a 5 essentials survey every year with our students in grades 6 through 12. And 3 areas that we really have been focusing on is student engagement. Do they feel connected to what they're doing in the classroom? Do they feel engaged, The other one is ambitious instruction. So how do the kids feel about the rigor and how hard it is to, what they're being required to do? And the third area is on just their overall feeling about the relevancy of what they're doing in their classroom. And 2 years ago, and there's all kinds of data with this, but 2 years ago we were right around the state average in all these areas, around like 50, middle 50 to 60%. And now this past year our results were like in the 80s. Wow. And we've just seen this. I mean, it's on any trend you're looking at, when you go from here to here over a period of 3 years, you're looking at an awesome trend. So yeah, things are going really well, I think.
So the results definitely putting a smile on
The
your face.
results put a smile on my face, that's for
All right,
sure.
so it's a program that's benefiting teachers, and the students are able to learn in a little bit different way. It's year 3, so let's talk about something called sustainability with the digital platform. You have the technology, what the students are using to learn from. Where does it go moving forward?
Okay, I think a couple things that in terms of moving forward. Number one is looking at the sustainability piece from the hardware equipment piece, which I'll get to in a second. The most important thing about sustainability is how do you keep your staff growing and learning on using technology to create authentic learning experiences. So what I mean by that is, technology is, there's a lot of things you can do to substitute for technology. So in other words, there's so many apps that kids can use now on technology to take notes, for example, okay? It's made it more efficient for kids, right? They can now take pictures. I mean, there's a lot that you can do. But you still could take notes without that technology, right? So how are we using technology to do things differently than you couldn't do without the technology? That's where the research shows you really see growth in kids. So like for example, and so our focus right now, one of the things that I think is really cool is we've partnered with Quincy University, and we offer our own internal graduate course for our teachers that we teach it, our staff teaches it. And right now we've got over 50% of our staff in this course this spring. And our whole focus is how do you take instruction to make it authentic to the next level? And so that's really a huge sustainability, is how do we keep investing in our staff to change what's going on in the classroom? From a technology piece, you're right, it just still seems so new, but we're in year 3.
Wow.
And one of the things that we committed to was we don't want our technology to get stagnant. You know what I mean? We don't want to get to a point where we're having trouble with the technology, so it limits what we can do. So we're continuing to grow. Our teams right now are really doing a lot of research on what is that next step. And what we're really going forward is, I think next year will be another year of the same technology, and we're really researching probably going more to a MacBook in grades 7 through 12, because what we're finding now is, but there's a lot of applications that the iPad that can do that a MacBook can't. So there's some hybrid models that they offer. So we're really doing a lot of research. One of the things that we did with the community, and we really communicated with the community who's been so supportive of our efforts, is we sold some working cash bonds this past year, $500,000 of working cash bonds. And that's taxable to the taxpayers. And what we did up front, and we communicated to the taxpayers that we were going to lower the bond and interest rate by using some sales tax money, so the overall tax rate wouldn't increase for people. And so what we have is now we have our next sustainability piece. We've got this money that we're going to use to do our leases for our next movement with our next step in technology.
Exciting times for the digital platform now and moving forward. Let's talk about a couple other programs, Tom, that you want to mention here. Arcola Schools has a dual credit program with Eastern Illinois University.
Yeah, we just kicked it off this semester, and it's really going to expand next year. One of the hard things for schools is, in order to offer dual credit, you have to have teachers at your high school level who have a master's degree in their certification area. So in order to offer, let's say, dual credit world history, our teacher would have to have this master's degree. Well, Eastern has been really doing some awesome outreach, and they've picked us as a school to partner with. And what's happening now is our teacher is co-teaching with the university professor. And we can do some online things where our kids can interact with the Eastern professor online. And through this partnership, we can offer the dual credit right at our own high school. So we've got kids in our speech class this semester. I think we have like 18 kids in this speech class, and I think 12 of them are taking it for dual credit through Eastern. And the dual credit with the university is so powerful because that transfers to pretty much any university they're going to go to. So next year, I think we'll be at a point where our high school kids will be able to take 16 hours of dual credit with Eastern. And I mean, that's a semester.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I mean, that's an awesome partnership we're really excited about.
Getting a head start on the next level of education.
Right.
One more new thing I want to talk about with you, Tom, is the CEO program, which is something we've talked about here on the last couple episodes of City Spotlight. Effingham,
that's
Shelbyville,
awesome.
And it's not just Arcola, it's Douglas County.
Yeah, we just, you know, we did a lot of research on Effingham and the program that started originally down there, and it's really expanded into a lot of areas. And right now we've established we've got all our training money and all our startup costs done. We're training our board, and it's going to be Arcola, Ala High School, which is Arthur, Tuscola, and Villa Grove, and we're all going in to really bring hopefully 20 of our entrepreneurial like-minded seniors to be a part of this CEO program starting next year.
So the CEO program has its map of Central Illinois communities, and Douglas County and Arcola is one of them now.
Yeah, I know. And that program is so awesome because kids learn how to run and start their own business, but they also learn what is so awesome about Douglas County and what's available in Douglas County that a lot of times people don't have any idea of the business opportunities that are right here in their own town.
And learn skills from some of their hometown businesses. Exciting year for Arcola Schools, 2017, 100 years of Arcola Schools. And tell us what's going to go on with that.
Yeah, so we're actually just in the beginning planning phases of that. Yeah, September of 2017, next fall, will be a 100-year anniversary in that new facility. Well, not new now, but it was new 100 years ago.
Correct.
And so we've been doing a lot of things to restore that building. You know, obviously, in doing restoration and upgrades in that building, it's not easy. You know, you've got they built buildings a little differently 100 years ago than
they weren't thinking about 2017.
Yeah, no, they weren't thinking about just trying to drill through a wall.
Right.
I mean, is like quite the process. So we're going to be our school board. We've been having a lot of conversations about what we're gonna do, and I think we're gonna hopefully work with our alumni association and kind of come up with some great ceremony to really value what what we have. So it's going to be great.
Look forward to seeing that. Hopefully we can touch upon it here on
that'd be
Future
awesome.
City Spotlight episode.
Right.
Last thing I want to touch upon with you, Tom, here as we wrap up with you. Hopefully folks at home are seeing this program after they've seen the WEIU Arcola. This is our story program.
Ah, right.
You were a storyteller for that program.
I was.
And we also have a story from that program. We're going to do a little bit longer piece on the Raggedy Ann and Andy doll and its history in Arcola. In late 2016, there was a sculpture there at Oak and Main Streets in Arcola, and you were present there. And
I was.
Talk about Arcola embracing its history there with something like that, and why that's important to this community.
And I think, I mean, that's one of the things that I've come to embrace about Arcola is how they want the community to continue to move forward, and but they have such a deep respect for tradition, you know? So kind of one of our slogans has been innovation and moving forward with innovation while respecting tradition, you know? And I would not have missed that ceremony because it was and you were there, it was such an awesome event where you've got this community from young to old embracing something historical about that community that's important to that community, you know, and it's one of the greatest things about it. So
it was a beautiful day that day for the unveiling.
Yeah,
and
it
the
was.
sculpture looks absolutely amazing.
It does.
Dr. Tom Mulligan, Superintendent of Arcola Schools, it's been a pleasure having you on City Spotlight again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of the 99th year of Arcola Schools. And
That's right.
We'll talk to you in the fall with that.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Coming up next here on City Spotlight, we'll learn a little bit about the history of Raggedy Ann and Andy and Arcola. But first, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in Arcola.
My ancestors came here from Cynthiana, Kentucky in 1857, and they absolutely loved this part of the country. They loved the fields and the crops, and eventually they left, and my grandfather, Johnny Gruelle, was born in Arcola in 1880, and he grew up in several places, Indianapolis, eventually moved to Connecticut with the family, where he married my grandmother, Myrtle, who was very instrumental in Raggedy Ann and Andy over the years. And when my Aunt Marcella was 13 years old, she became very ill. She was bedridden. Unfortunately, she passed away. But while she was sick, Johnny would make up little stories to entertain her. And one of the little dolls that she played with was a little homemade Raggedy doll made by Marcella's grandmother, we think. We don't know for sure. But that's the little doll that became Raggedy Ann. And after Marcella passed away, Johnny said, well, maybe other children would love the stories that he told Marcella. So in 1915, little Raggedy Ann she got her patent, and then 5 years later, little Andy got his patent. The family got an invitation to the Raggedy Ann Festival that was held in Arcola, and there were two wonderful, wonderful ladies that got this going. They sent us an invitation, so we came up. I came up with my parents and fell in love with the town. And when I went back home, I decided I was going to get more involved with Raggedy Ann to help the family. And my husband and I decided, well, he came up to see the town and see the next festival. We fell in love with the town. And when we got back to Georgia, we thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a museum for Raggedy Ann, because nobody had ever done one. And my dad had talked about doing that, but nothing ever happened. I want to thank Annette Ferguson and the other ladies that started the Raggedy Ann Festival, because we would not have ever come up here. I knew nothing about Arcola when I was growing up, so it's been a real lesson to me to learn that so many of my Gruelle relatives settled right here in 1857. So I feel a real tie to Arcola. We decided to open a museum. Of course, it was quite an adventure, and we had a couple of very dear friends help us with who to hire. So we really got going on this. It was on Main Street, and we had Indianapolis helpers, we had local helpers. We finally got it going and opened in 1999, and it was a big hit. We had hundreds and thousands of people over the about 10 years that we were open. We had a couple of fun little things. We wanted to be interactive. We wanted to tell the history of the family, which we did in the main part of the museum. And then we bought an adjacent building, and that was where our gift shop was, and that's where we had the interactive things. But the history was what we really wanted to get out to people so they would understand the real story about Raggedy Ann. One of our really fun things that happened to us was we found a little stray cat. And we named him Halloween because it was around Halloween. Well, he became the Raggedy Cat. And people would come into the museum, and he loved people. People loved him, and people would pick him up and carry him. We never had any kind of an incident. So he was our Raggedy Cat. People that loved Raggedy Ann the most are people that were museum members. And when the museum closed, they kept up. There is a little Raggedy Ann event that goes on every year, and the people are fanatics. They buy, they sell, they love, they share. Many, hundreds and hundreds of friends have become really just enamored with this doll. They have collections in their home. I've seen collections that jam full. They love Raggedy Ann. They're very loyal. Very, very loyal to Ann and Andy. And I think the people in Arcola are also. They're great people here. I don't know what I'd do without Arcola. See, I'm from the South, and Tom and I were in Atlanta, Georgia. So after we came here for the first and second festivals, we went back to Georgia, and we said, we're not going to work for the government anymore. We're going to go up and start a museum. Due to, my husband's passing, we realized that he was just not going to have the strength to keep up the museum. So we did close it about 5 years ago. And but there's a possibility that Arcola may continue on with it a little bit. They're trying to do something, so.
I saw a picture of it, and I have to say, to give him a grade on his work, the highest grade I could give exceeds expectations, because I'm always thinking things are going to be great, but this is even greater than I could imagine. And of course, I have to thank all the donors. We have over 60 donors whose names are on those bricks, and they gave over $65,000. So a special thanks to them. It wouldn't happen without them. And you know, the $50 donations up to the $5,000 donations, all appreciated exactly the same. And just in conclusion, before we unveil the statue, I just want to point out the Raggedy Ann statue is very similar to our wall dog murals. First of all, they take space that isn't used for anything. Second of all, they're works of art. And third of all, they tell something about the history of our community. So without further ado, we'll, and I got some I invited some Brenna kids down to take some pictures of Raggedy Ann. That's the way it is.
Like walking through the winter.
Yeah, it's pretty muddy.
And it's wet in corners of all.
Yeah, it is light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is so back.
A recent addition to the Arcola area is a beautiful, beautiful sculpture by Jerry McKinnon. And Pat Monahan was the gentleman, bless his heart, that got this going for us. And we met, my husband and I met Jerry. He came down to visit, and he wondered what kind of face we would like on the dolls. So I went to the museum, and I picked up several sets of dolls and brought them back, and he and his wife picked out the ones they wanted. And so the sculpture was from the couple of dolls in the museum, you know, in storage. But it's incredible. It is absolutely an honor to the Gruelle family, and I am so proud. A lot of visitors. It's fun because I walk downtown and I look over there and I see, people taking pictures, and it's a real honor. Pat Monahan is just an amazing guy. He can get things done, and he does it in a perfect way. The sculpture is of a beautiful little Raggedy Ann and a very handsome Raggedy Andy, and they are huge. They're about life size, and it is incredible that somebody could manufacture and put this up, and so it's so special. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that anything this beautiful and intricate and special to honor my family. I couldn't believe it. Oh, and Pat gave me. I haven't been down to see it in the last couple of days since he gave me this information. But he said, if you look under the leg, you will see Tom and Joni Wanamaker and Pat Monahan there, you know, I guess inscribed. We hope that a lot of people come and see it, and a lot of people have already. It's an incredibly beautiful, it's heartwarming, very heartwarming. And Raggedy Ann and Andy have been around for over 100 years now. So to have a beautiful sculpture that is just, you can tell it's filled with love. And I have seen so many people taking pictures of all ages, and I just can't tell you how thrilled. I know my family up there is looking down saying, oh, this is just, it's wonderful. Well, when I was a little girl, I really didn't like dolls at all. I was more of a tomboy, so I was not a doll lover. I never appreciated Raggedy Ann and Andy until later in life, when I married my husband Tom, because he grew up with Raggedy Ann and Andy, and he was the one that said, Joni, you've got to get more involved. I love the books. That was my favorite thing. But now I realize, you know, how important this is. That this beautiful little pair of dolls people just adore today. After after over 100 years now. And Ann got into the Toy Hall of Fame, and Andy got into the Toy Hall of Fame. To have something that's been around for over a century and still loved by people, and books that are read to children now are loving, they're caring, there's nothing that will harm anybody. And she's very patriotic. She's red, white, and blue. I mean, how American can you get? I think he would be beyond excitement. I never knew him. He passed away before I was born, but his widow, my grandmother, and I were very, very close, and knowing her so well and learning a little bit about my grandfather, I think he's up there looking down right now. He's saying, I am just so thrilled with what's happening. And she was really conceived because of a very sick daughter that passed away. So I think he would just be so thrilled. So thrilled. I wish he was here. I wish I'd known him. I feel like I know him, though, through his legacy. And I hope his legacy, I think it will go on for another 100 years.
City Spotlight is on YouTube. Past episodes can be viewed on East Central Illinois towns that have been featured on City Spotlight. Just search on YouTube, City Spotlight, with the show number and the name of the town. Listed on your screen are the recent episodes of City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.